Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Kings of Cricket. I'm Shivani Gupta and what a day it has been. India versus England. India were restricted for 229 with some great bowling by the Englishmen. But lo and behold, the English batsmen really tottered as far as their chase is concerned, with the Indian bowlers really up as far as their tail is concerned. But the English tail couldn't quite have a sting in it. They bat pretty deep as number 10 some would argue, but it wasn't enough. Plus, because India bowled out England for just 129. So that means despite being restricted to 229 in their 50 overs, they've managed to win by a whopping 100 runs. This is also now India's 6th win in as many matches in the World Cup. They are assured what is a semi-final spot. And for England, it is curtains, because even if there was a mathematical chance for them to be able to have some contention for the last four, with this loss, they're out as far as that contention is concerned. I don't think there's any mathematical chance left for them. With me in the studio is Murli Karthik. Graeme Swann, former England cricketer, is also joining us. Venkatesh Prasad, Mohinder Amarnath, Ayaz Memon, all with us. Dear God, Swanee, what happened there?
Honestly, I think the only thing that can save England now is a comet strike or an asteroid hitting the World Cup, and all matches null and void. It's just 230 was a very gettable score, even on a tricky pitch, even against possibly the best bowling attack in the world. But that was awful. It was just losing wickets early on. The worst thing is that it was me. Murli Karthik said earlier that I had a little doll of Virat Kohli when he got naught. And the two English guys I mentioned, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, the guys who wanted to bat around, both got naught. Lasted about 10 balls between. Honestly, that was just...
Swanee, people are going to be too scared of you now.
That first wicket went, it was going to be bad, and it was painful. I couldn't watch the last 3 wickets. I don't even know how they felt. I'd turn the telly off by then.
I'm saying, Swanee, I think people are going to be scared of you now. Every time you're going to praise somebody, they're going to refuse to go and bat or bowl. But yes, England have a chance. England still have a chance if 6 other teams go back home.
Venky wants to come in.
And also, do you have your nails intact? Have your nails intact, or you're eating up your nails?
Oh dear.
Sorry, your nails intact or no?
Sorry?
What's the situation of your nails, your fingernails?
No, they're long gone. I mean, they're bloody of all sorts. It was, yeah, I was just saying, I've just found out that only the top 7 teams of the World Cup plus Pakistan qualified for the next Champions Trophy. We're in danger. England have not even qualified for the Champions Trophy. We're playing that badly. I mean, it's just been one of those days. Yeah. I've had to go and sit out on my own, watch the sun go down, and just sort of cry silently into the distance.
I think we can sympathize, Jimmy Baji. I think we can sympathize a little bit with Graeme Swann. Not that, we didn't want India to win, but this is just befuddling what has happened. You do so well in your first innings, you win the toss, you put India to bat, you're actually successful in restricting them for 229, and then you just explode.
No, 229 wasn't a bad score, looking at the condition of the wicket. So one has to see the strength of your opponent and your own strength and your own batsmen and their own technique over here. And if you see most of the dismissal of the English batsmen, as I said earlier, because they don't play it late, they play it too early. That's okay, good technique on a good wicket. But I think on a wicket like this, I think you have to really graft runs. You have to play it late. You have to play very close to your body, allow the ball to come rather than going for all the shot, whether you play against spinners or against pace. So, as I said, I thought 229 on this wicket is nothing less than on something like 375 on a good wicket, to be very honest. Because the batting wasn't very easy. I think Rohit Sharma batted very well because I think if you look at his score and his knock, I think it was very, very crucial. And Rahul innings and all that thing, they contributed at the right time. Okay, sometimes we can criticize that they got out of bad shot, but isn't it an easy wicket to play short? So it was very obvious even in the first inning. And I think you can't take anything away from Bumrah and Shami. I think they bowled brilliantly, they bowled straight, they bowled wicket to wicket. and they put the pressure. And once you lose a couple of wickets, there's no chance for any team to come back against teams like India on a wicket like this.
Well, all of the Indian bowlers, Venki, were amongst wickets, except for Mohammad Siraj. There's, of course, Bumrah with 3, Shami with 4 again. You've got Kuldeep Yadav, who really terrorized the English batsmen today with 2. Even Ravindra Jadeja is amongst wickets. But we do have to make a special mention of both Bumrah and Shami. Just what beautiful stuff they're pulling off onto the field.
Absolutely. It's not just Bumrah and Shami. It's a whole bowling unit, including Siraj and the spinners as well. They're just going in with the 5 bowlers. And they're just keeping it extremely simple, Shivani. Just bowling that test match line and length, those hard lengths, and not giving much of width to the batters. And today, it was actually a chaseable score. They did a wonderful job. England, they could have chased down. They could have probably had their first win. Or maybe the second win in the tournament, but then they were clueless. The batters were clueless. They were, they were not reading the lines. They were not reading the length. I think they must have had enough of this tournament. I suppose they must have had enough of this, campaign, World Cup campaign. It looked like that. Nobody showed any character as far as England, team is concerned. And I went back to 1999, where we defended 232. I said in the mid innings, and that's exactly happened. And this team showed that they are much better than the 1999 team. By winning the game by 100 runs, and that shows how simple they've kept their bowling. Whether they're variations or their lines and lengths. I mean, it's just terrific. I don't know what sort of a shot that Ben Stokes played. I mean, there was no width. The ball was not short. It was bowled on the stumps. He was nowhere in pace. His feet was somewhere else, and he was trying to hit somewhere else. I guess they were just clueless, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, they really would like to wipe this off their memory. But, Karthik and I were talking about this. This Indian bowling lineup is so good. Like, even if you were to say, okay, let me see off Bumrah, let me see off Siraj, let me see off Shami, there's still a Kuldeep Yadav and a Jadeja to contend with. There is no breather for a batting side.
Yeah, it is. There isn't. But the thing is, still, with the kind of batting lineup that England have, and as Jimipa and the others were mentioning, it was not as if, yes, it is worth its weight in gold, this 230, but it was not as if it was 370. And as Venki mentioned, some of the shots were very ordinary, to be very honest. You kept saying that, Swanny was saying that he had to go and watch the sun set on his own. I thought that the sun never set on the British, what was the old saying? So I'm actually a bit surprised. Where was that British bulldog spirit? There was actually no spine.
No, Venki made something interesting, that maybe they've just mentally switched off.
I don't know what it is.
But the first innings was completely different.
There's not even the month which has gone by. You can't switch off so quickly. Yeah. You cannot switch off. If you're the defending champions, you can't say that we have switched off. No chance. That is not the character of a team which is actually boasting of such high quality players.
Yes. So look at the scorecard, Ayaz. Bairstow 14, Malan 16, Joe Root 0, Ben Stokes 0, Joss Butler 10, Moeen Ali 15, Moeen Ali and Livingston.
Dry your eyes, Sonny.
I know. Well, I was looking down that scorecard at one point. I suppose it's 6 or 7 best batsmen in England, and we'd only scored 55 runs between them before Livingston top scored with 24 or something. It was just, you know what, I do get what you're saying. You can't switch off in a month, but it's just, it gets to that point in a tournament. So, when there was 6 or 7 down, you could see the air just went, the air's gone completely out of the bicycle tires of this England team. You want to be pumped up and you want to be, fighting for every it's scrapping for every inch on a sports field. But when it gets to a point where the game's up, it's like, and the pressure going into the tournament of being the holders doesn't sit well with England teams. We've never won a tournament and then gone on to defend it well. We didn't do it with the T10, with the T20, when we won in 2010. If anything, we went backwards in that format. We haven't done it this time. We didn't do it in the rugby 2003. It seems a real problem for English sport that we don't win and then build on that and get bigger and better. We somehow fall behind all the other teams. So that's the really disappointing thing here. The talent is there in abundance. We all know that. But for some reason, 2 and 2 has made 17 on this tournament for England. It's just not added up at all. And it's, for an Englishman, a proud Englishman watching this, it's just, I've been pulling my hair out. So my hair's fallen out, my nails are gone, and I've been sat on my own. It's not been a good day.
We really do sympathize, Swanee, we do. But I ask, there isn't any redemption for this team. And I'm not suggesting that they're not good enough. But, with their last 4 matches, if they were to put up a fight, they were to be in contention, even if eventually they weren't going to make a cut, you redeem yourself a little bit, in the eyes of your fans, in the eyes of the world. But after this loss, I don't know, even if they win their next few matches, I don't think there's any redemption for this team.
Well,
I'll say that this is actually a poor team. It's performed so poorly. I mean, we can keep saying they're very good. It's a good side on paper. It bats from number 1 to number 9 or number 10 or number 11. But match after match after match after match, if you see the same team collapsing, just not able to bat or bowl. Today they bowled well and fielded well, and then they collapsed ignominiously. So I don't think that this is, we can keep saying they are the defending champions and we all expect them to come well, but it's not happening. And therefore you have to say that this is a team which has played extremely poorly, and why mince words about it? I mean, they'll be probably the first to admit and be extremely disappointed that they haven't been able to put up even a semblance of a fight. One can understand you lose a close match. If they had reached 227 and lost a humdinger, I can understand. You lost by 2 runs, last wicket's fallen. Here you've lost by 100 runs in a low-scoring match.
Absolutely.
And on a dicey pitch where you could have, you've held them down to 228 and then you can't make it. And this has happened against Afghanistan, against South Africa. There was carnage there against their bowlers. So I don't know what's happening, and their best batsmen are getting blobs.
Yeah.
I feel this is not a dicey pitch in any way. I think it was just fantastic bowling from the Indian bowlers, because as I said, 229 should have been chased. It was actually England's game after the first half, and the way the Indian bowlers came up, the way they stuck to those line and lengths, and the kind of technique. In terms of delivering the ball, whether it's Mohammad Shami or Jasprit Bumrah, seam up, the seam doesn't wobble at all, and they've got the capability of seaming the ball both ways, and that puts a lot of pressure on the batters. They don't know what is happening, whether it's even Moeen Ali, in the 25th over or something like that, when he got out caught behind, his feet was nowhere. He didn't know whether the ball was coming back into him or just leaving him. And the kind of angles that the bowlers are using, Indian bowlers are using, I think that's fantastic. It's all credit to the Indian bowlers. Indian team, bowling unit for such a wonderful performance.
Karthik and I, Swanee, we were actually sitting and kind of looking at the first-class records of the likes of Vokes, of the likes of Willie, of the likes of Rashid. They've all got 10 first-class hundreds, 20, 30 first-class half-centuries. So actually this batting lineup is a dream batting lineup, but it just goes on to show your last 4 are not supposed to do that job for you.
Well, absolutely. I always said that if you look at a team, if you're picking a guy who can bat at number 9 or 10 because he's got first-class hundreds somewhere down the line. We play so much first-class cricket in England, everyone gets 100 in the end. Even I got 4 of them going down the line, so everyone gets one in the end. But when push comes to shove, and you have to win a game of cricket for your country and the microcosm of the World Cup, and you're being stared at by the world in India with all that pressure, if you bat number 8 or 9, you don't win games from there. I actually thought, and I'm with Benki as well, that wasn't a dicey pitch. I think it was actually a very good cricket pitch. Yes, it did a bit for the seamers. It swung and it spun a bit. That's what a good cricket pitch is.
Yes.
And we can always take our Wankini pitches that are dead flat, and South Africa get nearly 400, and the pitch Australia, New Zealand. I argue that they're not great cricket pitches. They're brilliant for watching runs being scored. But we've got 3 ex-bowlers or 4 ex-bowlers sat here, and we all love to see the ball nipping around and spinning a bit because that evened it up. India proved today that they have all departments covered. They were brilliant with the seam early on. Those first 4 wickets absolutely killed England. And then the spinner Kuldeep, who is easily my favourite bowler in world cricket at the minute. I love the way he goes about his business. He was brilliant. And they finished off the English tail. So rather than focus on how bad England were, I'm going to say again how good India were. World Cup champions. I'm firmly an Indian fan now. This sky blue is going to be changed for Indian blue tomorrow.
Kuldeep, beware.
Don't jinx him, Swanee. Don't jinx him. We still need him in this tournament. Yeah. But Jimmy Paji, I want to understand. I'll save this for Swanee last, but I want to go across our panel to understand this. Jimmy Paji, what do you think should happen when a defending champion team like this struggles so badly? Do you think that the board will have to do something as far as the English team is concerned? Does it require some sort of wholesale change or something like that, or would that be too knee-jerk a reaction? Because this is ignominy.
No, I think it can happen in game, it can happen in sports, because see, the thing probably went against them. One is the technique. Second, they couldn't get used to the Indian wickets, the bounce and the pace, because I think if you look at the matches, because they were on a slower side, especially whenever India is played. So in particular, this game also, the ball was not coming onto the bat. And secondly, I think when you play against spinners, I think the guard is a very, very important thing where you stand. Because against a guy like Kuldeep and a right-hander batsman, I think if I was playing, I wouldn't have taken middle leg and middle off. I would have sat on leg stump. Then I could play much straighter. So very small thing adjustment you have to do as a team, as a player. So that helps you. Because if you just keep on playing in a similar fashion on all kinds of wickets, so it's not going to work. This is what exactly happened to English team. There's nothing wrong with English team. I think they will still go back whenever they play in England, other part of the world. They will still get runs. They will still score runs. But when you come to subcontinent, especially in India, where the wicket changes, from venue to venue, so you have to make a lot of adjustment over here, which they've not been able to do. But one thing is for sure, I think Swanee will definitely get Indian citizenship in the future.
Swanee, Indian citizenship for you. We will welcome you with open arms into our studios.
Definitely. I'll come and live with Murali Kartik until you sort me a house out.
No, but Kartik, how is the ECB supposed to respond in this case?
Look, knee-jerk reaction is the last thing you need.
Okay.
All you want is honest people asking hard questions and you getting honest answers. 20 days ago, they're still the world champions or the defending world champions. They're a very good side. Doesn't mean that within 15 or 20 days, they become a bad side.
No, but let me put it this way. You knew there's a World Cup coming in India. Let's say you do know what your problem areas are playing in India. Was there enough done? Was there enough application, adaptability, as our experts are talking about?
Look, adaptability is something which the team needs to do. And Swanee has already mentioned
No, so I'm saying for the team.
No, I'm saying Swanee
would heads roll?
No, why should heads roll just for the sake of it? Look, these are still the best players. Just because they pick 10 batters and none of them perform doesn't mean that they become bad. Swanee mentioned this. You still have picked the best side. But these things can happen to some of the best sides. Look at the way Australia started. And suddenly they have picked it up. The last 3 or 4 games. Yeah, I'm saying that there are also times in sport when the best laid plans go bad. When the best intentioned plans can go bad. So that doesn't mean that you want heads to roll. You just want to ask honest questions. I read somewhere that Owen Morgan was suggesting things aren't settled in the side or things aren't great in the side.
I think Owen Morgan said that this is one of the worst performances in sporting history, what the England campaign has been.
Look, I suppose if you go back in history, we might come up with something else. But as defending champions and as a team, which has actually led the charge in terms of the way one-day cricket should be played, from being very conservative previously. England were seen or touted as one of those teams. Nobody thought that this kind of a performance would be there. Everybody thought they were going to be in the top 4.
Well, it hasn't happened, is what I'm saying.
But I'm still saying that no heads to roll. Ask honest questions.
Accountability, but no knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah.
Swanee, I've got barely 30 seconds left. What do you think is going to happen when this team returns home?
I don't know. I'm with Murali Kartik. Absolutely. Knee-jerk reactions are dangerous. However, I think something has to change moving forward. What I worry about is when the test team arrive in the new year, whether there's a hangover from this tournament that goes into the longer form game in India. India is the hardest place in the world to play cricket, and you need a very, very good team to go and compete there. And I hope the test team's confidence hasn't been dented by watching this. I truly hope it hasn't. And if it has, then
Yeah.
please call on me. I'll come and help the spinners.
Well, maybe they
quickly,
should.
Shivani.
Yes, Venki, go
quickly,
ahead.
Shivani. The first head to roll is the coach's head. I'm telling you, being a coach, I faced it. So when things doesn't go well, it's not the players. The coach will be removed. Probably that might happen with England side.
No,
I'm
you
not Swani.
think
What do
it
you say
should
to
or
that?
that is what will happen?
Huh?
I'm saying you think it should roll, or you feel that that
No,
is what will
definitely
happen?
not. No, that might happen. That's what I'm trying to say. But that should not happen.
Well, it shouldn't happen. But, well, good thing is, India is unbeaten in the World Cup. We still keep our fingers crossed that this stupendous form that the Indian team is displaying continues. There are still more matches to go in the league stage. And then, of course, the big matches will arrive. But it has been quite a pleasure watching this Indian team. And it goes without saying, they are really the team to beat. And I don't know if any team can do it or not, but they really need to protect this beautiful form that they have going for them right now. I've run out of time. A big thanks to all of our guests for joining us. Commiserations today, Graeme Swann. Maybe have a drink. I don't know if you drink. Have a drink. Cool down. Oh, yeah.
Glass is already empty.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for our guests for joining us. It is turning out to be a beautiful campaign for Team India. Fingers crossed that it continues like that. Thanks a lot.